Is the real bull market about to begin, as the Fed has just announced this one major change? The Bitwise CEO says the bull run will be longer, and what alts are holding up best after last week's sell-off. This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when I drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, altcoinbuzz.io, and as always, not financial advice, and wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Also, make sure to join us for X Spaces, Tuesday to Friday at 9 a.m. EST, link down below. Alright, good morning guys. So even though we are bullish on Bitcoin in the next couple weeks, couple months, it does look like it kind of wants to continue down here, maybe test this $109,000 support level, take out all these wicks again, really test people who caught longs here, hoping to just V-reverse all the way back up. That usually tends to happen. We kind of retest this, test the confidence and the conviction of traders who went super long down here at these lows. We kind of bleed out, and then eventually we kind of just chop sideways and then head back higher. I think that's what's most likely going to happen. We'll probably retest this around $109,000 on Bitcoin. Take out some of these wicks here before ultimately going higher. So nothing too much to change right now. I do think we're going higher. I think we need to consolidate a little bit longer. It's going to take a couple days. Usually after these massive sell-offs, we do have suppressed volatility where it kind of go sideways and chop for a couple days. I do think that's what's going to happen. So starting off today, we have breaking. Powell says that QT will end in the coming months. This is super bullish. So now let's start simple. Quantitative tightening is when the Fed removes money from the system. They do this by letting bonds roll off their balance sheet, basically reducing liquidity. Less money, tighter conditions, and risk assets like stocks and crypto usually drop. Now Powell says QT will end soon. This means the Fed will stop reducing liquidity, money will stop leaving the system, and when liquidity stops shrinking, markets can finally breathe again. That's why this is bullish for Bitcoin, stocks, and most risk assets. And here's the next step everyone's watching for: quantitative easing. When the Fed adds money to the system, they do this by buying bonds, injecting liquidity back into the market. More liquidity, easier credit, and asset prices pump. The Fed isn't doing QE yet, but ending QT is usually the first step before QE starts. And when QE comes back, that's extremely bullish because liquidity drives markets, always has, always will. And we also have Larry Fink, the CEO of the world's largest asset manager, who says we are just at the beginning of tokenizing all assets. So he said this:
I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities to bonds across the board.
Very loud here.
It is very loud.
But it's good. Capital's at work, Larry. You like that.
I love capital at work.
Yeah.
But there's $4.1 trillion of money in globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize a ETF, digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. They're investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner, and then having people stay in that digital ecosystem. They can have their cash, and we have the largest cash money market fund that's tokenized called BULLISH. Our Bitcoin IBIT is now over $100 billion.
$100 billion, I know, from nothing not that long ago.
And 2 years ago, zero.
Yeah,
so
I know. Well, you weren't always a huge proponent of crypto, as we know. You love it now.
But I grow and learn.
I heard you say that on 60 Minutes.
I did say that.
And then also Bitwise Matthew Hogan said this about the prolonged bull market.
What's next for Bitcoin?
So for a short-term catalyst, for sure, progress on the Clarity Act in Congress, if we see that, if the government reopens, would be positive for crypto. But the real bull story for crypto is just the slow-moving freight train of institutional investment. I've probably done a half dozen meetings with institutional investors and financial advisors over the last 2 days. None of them talked about what happened over the weekend. None of them talked about the liquidations Melton talked about. They talked about this need to get exposure to crypto. They're currently on 0. They're going to 5%. That's the big story. It's a slow-moving bull market, but it's a very strong long-term bull market from my view.
And then moving on to some altcoins that could see huge rallies in the coming weeks and months. We have Eric Balchunas with Solana saying Solana spot fee 30 basis points, staking fee 28 basis points seems reasonable. Love Love how clear they make it too. People need to be able to compare and contrast quickly. Solana ETF fees being this low off the bat is a good sign. It'll make them very attractive versus other funds and intermediaries out there. So essentially we haven't had the Solana Spot ETF approval yet because of the whole government shutdown. But when we do, it is going to be very bullish for Solana. We also have a massive move. Soulmate purchased $50 million in discounted Solana directly from the Solana Foundation, with ARK Invest also taking a significant stake. And Solana is quoting Grayscale here, who says, Solana is an invisible metropolis with millions of users conducting thousands of transactions per second and interacting with an almost overwhelming diversity of applications. Solana is crypto's financial bazaar. And CryptoRS shares that Solana just outworked every other chain in Q3. ARK Invest Q3 DeFi report shows that Solana once again led all blockchains in real economic value, $223 million generated last quarter despite the broader market slowdown. Even as total blockchain revenue fell 83% from its 2021 peak, Solana kept producing real fees, real users, and real volume. That's what separates hype from health. While others chase headlines, Solana keeps showing up on-chain. In a cycle where fundamentals are thinning out, Solana is still proving it's one of the crypto's few true economies in motion. Now, as for Solana, it's holding up. I mean, it looks a little bit better than Bitcoin, but I believe it is going to follow the same path. I think we are probably going to come down a little bit. Bitcoin might retest, $109,000, $108,000. Solana might come back down here towards 180-ish and then continue higher. And hopefully it does start there so we can then start the uptrend process, because you can see here we are in a downtrend here, a series of higher lows, a series of lower highs and lower lows. And we want to flip this to a uptrend. So hopefully we can start changing this uptrend here now that most of the liquidity has been taken out of the market, or sorry, the leverage has been taken out of the market. So hopefully this is a turning point where we can then start to create an uptrend for Q4. But I am still hesitant to go on long any positions right here. Pretty much anything I'm talking about today and this week is really just buying spot positions for the long term. So I do like Solana. It's one of the stronger coins, but it's also just following what Bitcoin's doing right now. And then moving on, we have Ali Charts, who says a whale has bought 1.38 million Chainlink in the recent dip. We also have the S&P is teaming up with Chainlink to bring stablecoin ratings on chain. So Chainlink works with a lot of big Web2 companies. We also have a Link reserve is now worth $8.6 million with 463,000 Link held for the long term. And Chainlink also shared, we recently announced a major industrial milestone in Global Corporate Actions Initiative led by Chainlink in collaboration with 24 of the world's largest financial organizations, including Swift, the DTC, and Euroclear. Now, Chainlink's TA is actually a little bit more clear. It came up here for a perfect underside retest. Now it's rejecting here, and I imagine we're probably going to come back down here towards around $17. What you could do if you want to wait for more confirmation is you could wait for a reclaim above $19.85 if you want to buy, if you want to long it, if you want to buy it, just to make sure that we are actually, going in an uptrend now. Likewise, you could wait for us to come back down here towards around the $16 to around $15 range if we're going to take out these lows here. If you want to wait for us to come down here to this level of support and you want to wait for, better spot buys, it is potential that we could come down here. Although I don't know if we're going to come all the way back down here towards 15. We do tend to fill these wicks a little bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down here towards the low 17s at some point, retest this, and then continue higher. So anywhere around $17-ish is probably a pretty good buy for Chainlink Spot. And then moving on, we have Sui, who says YLDS figures SEC registered yield-bearing stablecoin will be issued natively on Sui. This partnership brings USD on and off ramps through YLDS. Sui as a potential collateral on a Figure, compliant, scalable DeFi infrastructure. We also have Sui saying institutions just got access to Sui via Fireblocks HQ and Wallet Connect. The Bluefin app is the first live, and more is coming soon. And Mark shares that Sui's monthly DEX volume just hit a new all-time high in October. At the same time, Sui's stablecoin supply has almost doubled this month alone. The Sui season is real. Alts are finally on the move from what's been a tough 2025 so far. People are getting the feeling that an alt season will finally start soon, if not right now. Sui is having a great 2025 so far, bucking the trend for most of the first half of the year while still growing now. It's quickly become one of the leading alts in the market and is up over 370% in the last 12 months. So let's find out why. Sui is killing it in all the big sectors it supports, like DeFi, where Sui nearly crossed $2 billion in TVL and hit $1.5 billion in record time. Sui also has some of the fastest stablecoin growth of any chain, so people are using it for real transactions. And then Walrus is changing the game in decentralized data storage. Its token launch was a big hit, and Seal and Nautilus are making things more secure and private. And then there's the Sui Play OX1, which is coming in September and is now officially sold out with over 10,000 pre-orders. Sui even has a small but growing meme coin market for meme coin lovers. So if you haven't used Sui lately, then come give it a try and follow Sui's X account for all the latest updates. And lastly for today, we have Saleb Suki partners with Space and Time for 14,000 student data. So the Salib Suki Foundation, one of the country's oldest, most respected K-12 education networks, has announced that it will use Space and Time, a blockchain-based data platform, to securely store and verify English language fluency test credentials for about 14,000 students across 70 schools. This move comes as more institutions across Indonesia are adopting blockchain technology to enhance the management of academic credentials. The initiative builds on a partnership between Indomobile Group, one of Indonesia's largest business conglomerates, and the Space and Time Foundation, which recently launched a program allowing students to record proof of course completions directly on the blockchain. And under the partnership, every English fluency test credential issued by Salib Suki schools will be uploaded to the SXT chain. It gives students a permanent, verifiable record of achievement. This means that when a graduate applies for higher education or jobs, their results can be instantly verified, no paperwork, no delays, no risk of forgery. And education verification is one of the blockchain's fastest growing world uses. Around the world, universities and training institutions are adopting decentralized ledgers. The goal is to make academic credentials tamper-proof and portable. The World Economic Forum recently highlighted blockchain-based diplomas as a key step towards improving transparency in education systems globally. So that is Space and Time, and that is the video for today, guys. I think it is not off the table that we take out some of these stops towards $109,000, but then we consolidate somewhere around here and then continue higher, probably going in towards next week. I think after this huge sell-off, we need to kind of go sideways for a bit before we can go upwards. And so I don't think it's going to be an immediate V-shaped reversal, which it already hasn't been. So I think a couple more days of consolidation around here, and then we'll eventually head up towards probably the end of October into November. So that's the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow.